Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the new Squirty by Gerry Lopez Surfboard. So the Squirty I'll be riding is a stock 5.8. And it comes in at 5.8 by 19.75 by 2 5/8, and it's 31.6 litres. So looking over the Squirty, it's a bit of a kind of like step down, kind of fun, a really inviting board for probably a whole lot of surfers. Looking over it, the Squirty has a pretty gentle rocker through the front, just enough to keep you out of trouble. It holds a considerable amount of volume through the deck. It's not overly thick at any point, but it does hold a bit of volume through the deck. And what I really enjoy in boards, it actually still continues to hold a bit of foam under the back foot. And I really like that in a board. I feel like it's a bit of a gas pedal and it just keeps going. Flipping it over, like I said, there's just like a low entry rocker, nothing too aggressive, but just enough to keep you out of trouble. A single concave through the front, which about halfway through the board comes into a double concave. It gets kind of deep through the fins, but what's actually quite unique as it comes out through the fins and probably about at that rear fin there, it's actually flat and it has like a little bit of kick. So what that does is it has that nice double that exits and that flat entry rocker or that exit with that bit of kick keeps it nice and loose and really lively through turns. So I got the Squirty a little while ago. And I saw it as something for myself, something I'd take out in, some shoreys, some rip bowls, some pretty kind of average conditions, a bit of a groveler. And I took it out and that went really well. At 31.5 litres or 31.6 litres, sits about a litre or two above what I'd ride in a shortboard. And at 5.8, it's about, 2.5 inch shorter than I am tall. So I rode it in some waves, ways to kind of chest high, grovelly little rip bowls. The thing was mental, paddled really well. Paddle like an absolute dream. That 1 litre or kind of 2 litres above my shortboard volume felt like much more, but without feeling really bulky. So it didn't feel like an overly big board. It just paddled really well. And I think the foam is just in the right places. There's no kind of wastage. You don't have it through the nose and that. It's under the chest where you need it. The rail drops away to a nice kind of rail, and then it also sits under your back foot and that, so it makes it really easy to surf. What blew me away in the Squirty was after surfing it for a little while, I was just kind of keen to check out what it could actually do. And I surfed it in some much better and bigger waves. And what blew me away was the board gets into waves really, really early. And in some kind of suckier and heavier conditions, it feels like almost like a mini kind of slab board. So that volume gets you into waves early, under the lip and into the barrel if it's barreling or whatever. But down the line, the thing has so much speed, it has so much drive, it's really fast, and it definitely, it challenges any kind of high performance shortboards. So, it surfed really well in some kind of grovelly 1 foot kind of crappy beach break waves, but also in kind of like some 4 to 6 foot conditions, it also went really, really well. We also have a little slab kind of reef where I live, and I took it out there one day in that kind of 3 to 4 foot range, and it was absolutely perfect. It got into the waves just under the lip where you want to get up on that kind of surge bit. You'd get in the barrel and it had heaps of speed. And riding it as a quad, lots of speed in the barrel down the line. The thing was absolutely perfect. Flipping over the Squirty, I've primarily been riding it as a quad. Actually, when I first got it, I just got the MR twin set, so that's a 2+1. And I was frothing to check them out in another board I had, and I thought, I'll give it a try in this. And it felt really good. Look, it was really loose with that round tail and that flat exit with the twin. It felt really nice, really easy to turn, but I'd kind of do some top turns and it would feel like it was just jumping out of the water. So it's a bit of fun, cool to check that out. I rode it as a thruster with like the Chloe Andino's, the large AM template. Felt good, had like a bit of a shortboard feel, but as a quad was where it felt at home. Initially I rode it with the AMs, medium AMs in the front and the large AM trailers. So they're, quite even in size and it's a really balanced quad set. It's a quad set that I actually ride in a lot of boards and it feels very, very natural. But I thought it was cool to explore some kind of different fin setups, especially with this board. So speaking of the guys FCS, they'd actually recommended this as kind of like a cool setup to try. So what it is it's the large reactors in the front and it's the large performers as the quad rears. So compared to the Almeric setup, this is a more upright fin. The quad performer is a very similar quad rear that you'd find in a lot of FCS, 5 fin and quad sets. But the Reactor is a much more upright fin It has a much kind of thicker base, and I think it's a shorter, kind of more upright tip. So what that did, I surfed this in some waves when they had a little bit more push. I feel like those raked AMs are really good for generating speed, especially in small waves. But when the waves had a little bit more push and I wasn't generating speed so much myself, these felt epic. Really nice pivot and would just turn really nicely. Had all the control you want, all being large fins, but being an upright fin, just a really nice release, and you could kind of do some nice kind of round turns, and they'd also kind of snap in and out of turns really, really quickly. So that felt really cool. Overall, I thought this was a groveler for kind of small and average waves, but after riding it in a whole range of conditions, there wasn't much this board couldn't do. I'd probably recommend this board for, look, almost anyone I think would enjoy the board. But you know, someone who is probably a beginner surfer and they want something that's still very forgiving, still very fun, but is not gonna inhibit their surfing and let them progress, this is perfect. It paddles easy, lots of speed down the line, just enough rocker to keep you out of trouble. And like I said, you can do some pretty high performance surfing on it, so it'd be really good for someone like that. Also, if you're maybe an older surfer who has historically ridden kind of performance shortboards and you kind of want to step away from that, but you can still surf and you're still surfing good waves, and you want something it's going to get you into waves, but when you want to perform, it's still going to perform. This could be a good board for someone like that also. Look, overall, I've actually frothed out the Squirty. It was a real surprise package. Something I thought was just going to be a bit of a groveler for kind of 1 to 2 foot waves is something that I've been riding quite a lot in a whole range of conditions. Look, I've absolutely loved it, and hopefully you get a chance to check one out. Thanks so much for watching.